brother and I have been very fortunate is that we grew up as with a parent from a different generation.
Ted, welcome to the Entrepreneurial Elite Podcast. I am so grateful for your time today, and I'm super excited to talk to you.
Well, thank you, Rob. I appreciate the invitation of being here.
Yeah, absolutely. I always like to start the podcast with a quote. And so what I'd ask from you is just let me know what you think about it. And if you happen to know who said it, that's like a bonus. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. The quote is, I want our family legacy to be that we care about our community while protecting our environment. And I want future generations of my family in this community to enjoy everything that Michigan and our planet have to offer. What comes to mind? And do you know who said it?
Wow, that sounds like something I might have said. That is
You did. Sorry to embarrass
That's
you.
fantastic. That is fantastic. Well, I absolutely do believe that a legacy is what we're here to try and achieve. We have goals, of course, in business, but I think our family and what we leave behind with our legacy is something very important.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And, how you entered into your entrepreneurial journey is a really interesting story. And I'm wondering if you can share every aspect of it because you have some family history in there, et cetera. So let me hear exactly how you got into this whole thing.
Well, I think I heard it from you that entrepreneurship isn't something that you learn; it's something that you are. And it is nature versus nurture. And for our story, my grandparents immigrated over from Macedonia, 1914. That time was during World War I, Balkan Wars. There was a lot of immigration out of Macedonia because they were being invaded by the other territories of Greece and Turkey and such. So my grandparents came to Jackson, and I think they came through Ellis Island and landed in Jackson because of a great train station about halfway between Detroit and Chicago. There were already some immigrants here, so they stayed. And they opened up a Coney Island. And in Jackson, our Coney Islands are a little different than everybody else's from around the world. It's a mixture of beef heart and hamburger and spices, a loose meat, on a hot dog with mustard and onion. And it was something that Jackson, our town, is very proud of and very famous for, something a little different than other Conies. So my grandfather, his brother-in-law, and then typical immigrant story, they brought people over and they started more restaurants. Our family since 1914 have been in the restaurant business. My aunts, my uncles, cousins and second cousins and cousins, quote unquote, from the old village, all owned restaurants. And my dad included. My dad was a World War II veteran, got out of the war. And I think like typical World War II vets, they didn't talk about it a lot. And I think he was a little free-willed and he just traveled the world. And he was unmarried. And then when he finally settled down, he opened up a restaurant, a pizza and Coney Island restaurant. He met my mother. She had 3 kids and they got married together. They then since had 2 children, my brother and I. Then my dad had a friend who was sanding floors during the day and said, I could use your help. Well, he realized he could make more money sanding floors and he'd be done at the end of the day, 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, as opposed to the restaurant business, which starts early in the morning and goes late at night. So he thought, all right, I'll sell the pizza business and I'll go into flooring. And that was in the 70s. And Tom and I were born at that time, or we remember the pizza store somewhere in the early 70s because we remember going there. But my dad then became a flooring installer. Got certified, got trained, worked for other companies, and made the entrepreneurial leap and opened up a store. Him and my mom rented a building, bought some inventory. She sold it. He installed it. And so Christoff Sons Floor Covering was birthed in 1979 in a little shop around the corner. Then it moved to a small location, but a building that my dad owned in 1984. And And then my brother graduated high school in 87, and he decided he wanted to go into the family business. He was an installer. We grew up with working with our hands. I worked for my uncles in the restaurant business, and I always thought I'm going to own a restaurant. It's glamorous. My uncle reminded me something out of the 1950s Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra era. Gold chains, and I always wanted to be like my uncle. Never wanted to be in the floor covering business. Never ever. Was not glamorous. It's like a carpet store, but owning a restaurant is sexy. So anyway, my brother decided to go to work with my dad. I went on to college, got my business administration degree at Fair State University. And my brother started buying the business from my father. Side note, my mom and dad got divorced during that time, yet my mom still worked there, and my mother and brother were buying the business from my father. So that's kind of complicated, but it really isn't. They just kept the business going. It's what we did. It's what we do. Just keep the business going. My dad obviously was older because he was in World War II, born in 24. So he retired early in our lives, but late in his life. And in 1992, my senior year of college, he passed away of a heart attack. And so that was very tragic. That was a struggle for us, two young men. I have three half brothers and sisters, but they all had moved on and got married and got other careers, electrician and nursing and homemaker. They weren't involved in the business. But Tom and my mom knew that they needed a partner. They really kind of did my dad. He was sort of the financial guy. So I thought, well, I don't have a job. Why not? And so I finished my 3 months. I finished my senior year, and I became a partner. And I was like, I own a business. Then I quickly realized, wow, what do we have? We have a $700 rusted van, a rented building, and really cheap, crappy inventory that my dad bought because it's cheap. He always wanted something cheap. Got to buy it cheap. But we had a great name. And he had a very respected clientele know that my dad did good quality work. And they just bought from us. And there was, of course, a lot of very loyal customers as I came into the business. But the first few months, we didn't get paid. And it was a very much, eye-opening situation where we'd look and go, here's how you get paid. At the end of the week, you open up the drawer, and if there was money in it, you get to split it. If there's not, you don't get paid. And with everything on COD, we thought, this has got to change. This is not sustainable. This isn't a business. This is a job. And, coming out of college, I did learn a lot of processes and procedures. And that's what a business administration was for. I think that's my forte. I like organizing. I like, putting processes and procedures together to create a functioning organization. Well, this one needed it. And so my brother and my mother and I were partners. We then, within 2 years, my brother and I bought my mother out, and she retired. And then we quickly started adding employees, creating processes, getting credit from our vendors. We organized the showroom, started marketing, started advertising, became a student of our industry. We read every magazine that was out there, every trade magazine. We went to every convention there could be. We talked to everybody else who we wanted to be like and emulated them and used their best practices and put them into place for us. We, in 1995, a few years later, we built a building. So we went from a 1,200 square foot building, and we built a 8,000 square foot building, which was heaven. I mean, it was just great. We'll never need another space again. It's so wonderful, brand new building. And that was a challenge too. I remember going to the bank, my brother and I, and getting a loan. We said, well, we need a loan for this building and some inventory. And I remember them saying, well, if this gets approved, we stopped and like, well, what do you mean if? I mean, there is no if. There is no other alternative plan here. We need the money. We're building a building. We're going to grow a business. And we were very disappointed with the bank that we were at. So we went to another bank, and we ended up getting a loan. And I think that they just took a chance on a couple of young boys. and it's paid off. And so we added more employees. We started marketing more. So our sales went from, I think the hand penciled paperwork that we had from 1992, I think we did $300,000 or $400,000 in sales. And then we grew to the magic number of $2 million. And that was incredible growth. And it was and there was a lot of hard work to do that. And we had some good dedicated employees. So we kept growing. We focused on a lot of our products, our residential products, our commercial products, and then we added more products and vendors. And then jump forward to 2019, and we had the opportunity of buying another new building right downtown. And this is the building that we're in now. It's 33,000 square feet. And it was an icon building in our town because it was a toy store for like 60 years. And we refer to it as the Toy House. I mean, we are located at the Toy House. And everyone knows that. But God delivered that to us. I mean, God's just been good all steps, all the way through our blessings of all these opportunities. And so we got into this building, and then we had a grand opening and COVID came and we shut down. And so that was interesting. But, through faith and perseverance and understanding that we've done this before, we've overcome obstacles before, we'll just continue to push through. And grit is on the bathroom wall because that's what we do. Grit is what we do. I watched a TED Talk on grit and I thought, that's it. That's it. That's what you do. You just keep grinding and you keep pushing forward and you figure out ways. And it ended up being, with COVID, the construction home improvement market was flourishing because of COVID. And so we were very much a recipients of that. And then we doubled our sales. So we went from 3 million at that time to $6 million in 2 years. And that was a lot to manage. And so here we are now in this wonderful new showroom, and we've added kitchen cabinets and countertops and draperies and blinds, and we've added more designers and kitchen and bath remodeling and vanities and faucets and sinks, and it's incredible. I don't even know where it stops, but it's just this train that keeps moving. But our team is so cohesive now, and the culture is so good. We started working on all the culture that we needed to build our team and to create an environment that people wanted to work here. One of the things we knew with a shortage of employees is, well, if we can't grow them, and we don't like to steal them, we're going to have to create an environment that people will be attracted to us. And it's happened. The phones rang and qualified people called us and said, I want to work here. This is a place that I want to work. And so we've just been blessed with good people. And so now we're in another transition. We're looking to move to the next generation and bring my children into the business. We're working on plans to buy out my brother. And he's not leaving, but he's going to buy out his shares and bring my wife into the business, who she's been in our business for the whole time, but be a partner. My daughter works here, and we're looking to expand and buy another store in another town. All this is happening almost simultaneously. And it's like, I look back and think, wow, from 1,200 square foot to now, it's amazing journey.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing journey.
It's amazing what
Well,
can
that's all the
happen.
details.
That's a wonderful story. I mean, it sums it all up in terms of an entrepreneurial path. And for those of the listeners that are also watchers on YouTube, Ted is not in his kitchen; he's in his showroom, and it's beautiful. But remember, his father started by sanding floors.
Yeah,
and now you're
that's right.
selling kitchens and,
Yes.
all kinds of things. So the company has evolved a great deal. Now, one of the things we talk about in the book is, should I go to college or should I not go to college? And your brother didn't. He came right out of high school,
Yep.
but you chose to go to college. And we always like to ask, what was your thought process? And now looking back, good decision, not good decision?
Oh, I think it was a good decision. And I am an advocate for both, not only in the community, but in my family as well. My brother and I both grew up in a hands-on environment. Our dad always taught us how to use power tools, how to build stuff, go ahead and try. And we worked in woodworking in high school when there was woodworking, and drafting and metal classes. There were a lot of the technical trades in schools, and we were a product of that. And so my brother just naturally was good at laying floors, and he and some electricity, but he realized he could make a living, and why not? I always had the passion for being a manager. It's funny that I said I want to own a business, but I don't want to do sales. I'm not going to do sales, and I don't like sales. And that's the first thing that I am, is a salesman all the time, every day, everywhere you go, you're always selling. So once you understood, because I thought selling was cold calling and begging and swindling, you think of sales as a bad thing, a used car salesman. And I'm sorry for the used car salesmen that are out there. But something that was negative. But we realized selling is really solving problems for people. And that I like doing. We really enjoy serving our customer. We enjoy serving the community. We serve our employees. And that's one of our core values, is service to one another. Honesty, service, and efficiency is the core values of our business. And that's everything that we do. We have to be a servant. And so we use servant instead of sales. We just serve the customer and solve their problems. So for me, though, I always thought I was going to work at there's a large utility company here in Jackson, Consumers Energy at the time, and I was going to work at Consumers Energy. I was going to be on a 7th floor, whatever floor they had, and wear a suit and tie. And the young Donald Trump was one of my idols. I had his picture on my poster on my wall, and the art of the deal. I just always thought that was my goal. And when I went to college, I did gain, I think, organizational skills. It's just something I don't like disorder, and so it fit well. And it worked out well that my brother needed that. I do sales, he does installations. He's in charge of the installers and the quality. I know I know enough. I have done plenty of installations, but that's not my forte. And so you kind of need to have both. One thing we find in all businesses, especially in floor covering businesses, is that, and my dad was typical, just because you're a good installer doesn't make you a good businessman. And just because if you're in business, you don't necessarily have to be the technical end of what you're trying to sell. So you need a partnership. That's why my dad had a partner and my mom. So those two partners, my brother and I basically just took the reins and grew it. But I think it's a great opportunity to go to college. I think it's also a great opportunity now that the trades are becoming prideful again. There was a time where everyone was literally forced in high school through the federal and state guidelines that you had to be college prep ready. And not everyone was prepared for that. They go to college and they fail, and they feel like failures when you're not. You're just in the wrong environment. And we are now seeing a huge shift of people who are very talented with their hands and their minds, and they can figure out geometry, although they don't know they're doing geometry. They can figure out math. They just don't know they're doing math. And those are the people that we need, the plumbers, the floor covering guys, the roofers, the drywallers, these construction people. And they pay well. They pays very well. There was always that connotation that they were secondary jobs, and they're not. And so we implore everyone that I can, when I talk to kids in schools and in colleges, even in colleges, because some kids are in college because they're supposed to or have to be. They may not ever even use that degree. So the trades are fantastic, and I think they should be equally praised.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, when we're talking to these early stage entrepreneurs or people thinking about getting into business, they haven't even started yet. Our goal is to help increase their odds of success. And sometimes that means don't become an entrepreneur. It's not the path for you. Other times it's a spark that really gets them
Yeah.
going and gives them the confidence. And you've hit on so many of the key concepts that we talk about. And there are a couple I want to reference right now, what we call must do's. And, one of the things that you talked about was that sign in your bathroom. I think you said grit. And,
Yeah.
we say work hard, really hard. And, can you just elaborate just a little bit more on what exactly does that mean? Like, what are you getting yourself into in the early stages and working hard, really hard?
Yeah. Well, I can say that one of the things that my brother and I have been very fortunate is that we grew up as with a parent from a different generation. My dad was 46 when I was born. So he came from a different generation. He was born through the Depression and went through World War II. You had to work. You had to work and work hard. That's the only way you were going to survive. And so it's just all we've ever known. You never give up, no matter how hard it is. You just get up tomorrow, you go to work, and you continue forward. And that really has been a key to success for us because wealth is built in small increments, one step at a time. You're never going to just, even if you did win the lottery, statistics are you're going to be broke again in 5 years because you haven't built the processes of how to handle and build wealth. So wealth comes from learning how to manage yourself and your time. And then responsibility is, I think that's one of those things that we talk about as an entrepreneur. You're just built with a sense of responsibility. I don't play hooky. I just don't. I try to play golf and I'll play golf on a league, but I'm just not the guy that's going to go, wow, it's really sunny out today. I can ditch this work and I'm going to go spend some time on the golf course. I have to plan for those times. I plan for my vacations. I plan for my personal time. I have plenty of personal time, but my work has to get done and my customers have to get satisfied and my sales staff or my employees, their needs have to be taken care of. And you just continue to grind until they're done.
Yes.
So being organized helps.
Organized, holding yourself accountable. Another of
Yes.
this is one of the stages that we talk about. And, I thought a lot about you, even with how many years now you've been running the business, owning the business. And I learned about recently, I think it was fairly recently, there was a builder show. And this goes to working hard, really hard, and this holding yourself accountable. You had this idea to have a setup at the builder show with a bathtub overflowing, and somebody had asked you, how'd you get that? How'd you get that done or something? And you said, it was my idea. I built it myself and I delivered it myself and set it up myself.
Yeah. Well, I love marketing and it
Yeah.
was a great, but I have the ability to get it done.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a curse. You get these
Yeah.
things in your head, these projects, and you just want to get them done.
Yeah.
And so I move forward, and that was a fun time. We still have the tub, and it was such a showstopper.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just love to find new ideas. Thinking about learning again, I remember I wanted to say that I'm always a learner. I think that as an entrepreneur, you have to understand. I remember this one time when I was in college, and it was just before my dad passed away. I thought, I can't wait to graduate. I am not going to read another book again. And I'm done with the homework and I'm done with books. It's been high school and college, and I can't wait to get done with this. And it never ends. And you never want it to end. It was for a while there, I didn't, but you want to be a student of your industry all the time. You always need to be curious about what is going on in your marketplace and what others are doing. So always being curious and always learning is something that we constantly do.
Yes.
It's just a way of life.
And, when you came back from college and became partners with your brother, Tom, and now I hear how the succession is kind of taking place and different things
Yeah.
like that. And we talk about another must do, which is really determining whether you're a partner person or not. So I think you're a partner person, but what do you think are the positives in it with you, with your partnerships?
Mhm.
And what are some of the things that people should watch out for?
I know that I was blessed. I think our story is unique because I can see and have seen many partnerships fail. But I have a brother who is very close to me, and I'm close to him. I read his mind; he reads mine. And the only person closer is my wife. So we know each other deeply. And one thing that we had, similar to a good, solid marriage, which no matter whether it's rocky or not, you're never going to get divorced. You're just going to work it out. Doesn't mean it'll always be great. Same with our partnership. We've had many of fights. We've had many yelling arguments. We've had many walk away, storm away meetings, but we will always return, and we'll always return with gratitude. And so that the ability to work out your problems is something that has to be something that the two of you or the three of you agree upon. Family businesses create another unique struggle dynamic because sometimes you can take more liberties with a family member than you would with a non-family member. And so you have to face those head forward and say, look, this is how we're going to treat each other. And you just got to have good communication. You really do. So am I a partner person? Um, I don't think I am. I don't think I am, but I'm a partner to my brother. So I don't know if I could have any other partner
Yeah.
other than my wife. I will put
Mhm.
that there
Yeah.
because again, she's very, very close. You have to be a yin and yang. Tom and I talk about this all the time. Opposites are okay. He's different than I am. He thinks differently than I do, and that's okay because the things that he does, I need, and the things I do, he needs. So I think if you're gonna find a partner, that I think that could go two ways. One, you just have to find ones that's so like you that you guys are connected, but yet it's also looking for someone that can complement you is probably better because for us to survive or our success has come from the fact that 1 and 1 is 3 or 4 because we can put two together and do multiple things. Where if we were exactly the same person, we probably would both want to be the CFO, or we both want to be in charge of sales, or we both want to be in charge of this. And there would be conflict where he don't want to be in charge of sales and I don't want to be in charge of installations. And we need someone in charge of those. So
Yeah.
that's been our strength, is that we've communicated very well that we know what our roles are, and now let's execute them.
Yeah, I
So,
love it. It's interesting. You say, I'm actually not a partner person. You have a unique scenario that you have family. There's a great deal of trust and complementary skills. So it works. But maybe if you went outside of that, that might not work so well for you. So that's really great
yeah.
wisdom. We talk about these 8 critical mistakes that we ask entrepreneurs to watch out for. And one of them that I want to touch on with you is not spending enough time with your people, because earlier you alluded to your core values and people wanting to be a part of this organization that you guys have built. And so can you talk about the importance of that and kind of how you go about it so people can understand a great way to work with their people?
Well, I would have to say that's a lesson that I learned of late. And it's certainly been one of the best lessons I've learned. I think that's where we've grown so much in the last 3 years. And maybe, sometimes you just have to mature. Maybe some people are just quicker to learn than others. For us, it wasn't that I never spent time with our people. We always developed relationships. That's one of the assets we think of when you want to work at Christoff and Sons, because we care about you. We put our employees first and our customers second. Our employees are absolutely first. But in the last few years, as we really officially said, what is our culture? What is our mission? What is our purpose? And we started writing these things down instead of just doing work and cashing checks and paying bills. what is our purpose? And then we realized it's the relationships that we have. It's these relationships, and we need to cultivate them. We need to, and we lost some good relationships, and those were eye openers for us. And we thought, you know, why we lost that person? It wasn't because of pay, and it wasn't because of vacations or perks or benefits. Is I don't think they felt we cared. I don't know that they knew that we cared. So we now have to make sure that everyone we hire knows that we care. And so it's intentional. It's more than, yes, we do have a well-stocked refrigerator and snacks for our employees, right? But it's not that. It's about finding out about their kids and their lives, and praying with them when they need prayer, and ringing the bell. One of the things we do around here, I stole this from a Disney Institute training. We ring a cowbell, and there's something weird about this cowbell that you can't stop what you're doing. And we celebrate a victory. Maybe somebody closed a big deal. Maybe somebody's kid made a home run in the baseball last night. Somebody is, celebrating anything, whether it's personal or business. And we ring the bell, and it's like a cowbell. Everybody in the building stops what they're doing. They come around, they gather to find out what's the good news for the bell. And that has really been helpful, because now you get the opportunity to share what's important with you. And I just think caring for your employees is paramount. It's just absolute paramount to having good employees. And you know what? They can start to care about you, because we're humans. Sometimes, employees think that managers or owners are, thick-skinned and resilient and have no emotions. This is a tough job, and sometimes it becomes overwhelming, and we need the support of our family and friends. And heck, I spend more time with these people here than I do with my family and friends, other than my family that works here. So, good thing.
Yeah. And investing in your people, which is one of the things I learned about you. You talk about that the staff is incredibly well trained. They're welcoming. They point people in the right direction when you get in there. Everybody kind of has a certain hospitality mindset. And talk about how important it is to make that kind of investment. Maybe if you have something you could share that you do there to cultivate that.
Well, one of the things that I knew learning from college, is your unique selling proposition, right? So what makes Christoff and Sons, a floor covering store, different than any other carpet store? And I think part of that we talked about, the people. Well, how do we show off the people? And our building, we're very proud of our building. And I think about, if I were to invite you over for Thanksgiving dinner, or even just dinner, right? I wouldn't just expect you to walk in the door and wander around my house and figure out what's going on or where you put your coat. You'd be greeted. Of course you would. And so we make it very, very specific details about greeting people without them feeling like they're being swarmed by salespeople. So our shopper is a woman, that's our target market. And we have done a lot of research on what she feels comfortable with: the lighting, the temperature, the ability to see through the building, to be able to see the front door that she came in from, wherever she's at, having wide aisles so that she doesn't feel trapped, having pleasant music, the smell in the air. Of course, it all smells like carpet, which is a great smell, I think. But just the sight, sounds, and all the senses are touched, and then we bring people into it. We're always asking questions. Part of our trade in floor covering, to be able to even do what we do, we have to ask a lot of questions. And so people just feel welcomed, that we care enough to ask these questions, not knowing that we kind of have to do that anyway to do our job. But it just trains us to be welcoming. And you know what? And if you show up on Friday at about 3:00, we're going to have Margarita Friday anyway. So why not turn on some music and grab a margarita? Because not against the law to have a drink while you're shopping, right? It's like great. A sip and shop for wine. It's just fun. I mean, why not have fun? We're selling fun. People just enjoy what we sell, and we just try to create a better an environment that everyone's happy, and customers and employees. ways alike.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And, we talk about these 6 essential traits of an entrepreneur. And so during our conversation, I'm kind of thinking about each one of them. And Ted, I think you're going to agree as I read through them, and I'm sure the
Yeah.
listeners will agree as well. First of all, are you a visionary? And obviously the answer is yes to that. And
Yeah.
if you've heard Ted talk about things like, I love the smell of carpet, then he's passionate. And that's the second one. Passionate. I can tell.
Yes.
It's so many levels, so many levels. Problem solver, obviously. You've talked so much about that. Driven. I mean, you keep growing. You talk about how much you want to learn, and that's a never ending thing, and you find it fun. Risk taker. I mean, you went from 1,200 square feet, I think you said, to 8,000, now 33,000. You refurbished the toy building. I probably said that wrong. The
Yeah.
old toy building
Toy
in
house, yeah.
Jackson. Toy house, yeah. I mean, that's
Yep.
really amazing. But it takes risk. You took a loan out. You had to go to a couple banks when you were young. And then lastly, responsible, which you've taken some of what you've learned and really created structure to the business. So check all the boxes without question. Now, I wanted to ask you, because I sense that through your father, I'm imagined to a certain degree, and maybe your uncle and other people in your family, they were great mentors for you. So obviously you've had some great mentors. Have you ever had a mentor outside of the family by chance?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
And I've tried, no, not an official mentor. I have started to look at some of the people in our community that I respect that have good businesses, long family businesses, successful businesses. I consider them successful business people. I've invited them to lunch and just said, tell me your story, similar
Yeah.
to what we've done here. How can I learn from you? And it amazed me how open they are. And I thought, why would this person ever want to talk to me? Right. And I just called them and said, I mean, here's who I am. You kind of know who I am because I'm on TV or on the radio. So that might help open the door a little bit. But they've given me such great advice, and I take lots and lots and lots of notes. And it's funny. I've done that 3 to 4 times now, 4 different people, one a couple of times. And then about every 6 months, I pull this file out and I just reread my notes and remember what they talked about and what their words of wisdom were. And these are people that are still respected in our community. And so I would say they're slightly mentors of mine.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how the impact my father had on my brother and I in the 21 short years that we had him. And his nickname from when he was young was Itzo, and no one really knows where the origin of that is. And so as we were, I have kids, and my kids were working here, I'd say stuff. I go, well, you know what Itzo would say about that? And my son would pick up on it, and he'd say, so he'd grab his phone. He's like, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm making a list of Itzoisms. And I said, oh, really? He goes, yeah, I've been listening to you. And I've been writing them all down of what your dad would always say. You'd say, your dad would say, and he's got a list of almost 100 things
Oh my gosh.
that are just things that are ingrained into us. Do the right thing and be responsible. And some of them are not fit for television, right? But they're still true. It was all about being responsible and moving ahead, and don't blame others, and do the right thing. And he just would say it in weird ways, and we call them Itzoisms. So that's kind of our language around here. This is, well, what would Itzo say? And so we keep his memory alive. And so I kind of think he's my mentor.
Oh yeah.
Even after he's passed.
Oh
so
yeah.
so we still use everything that I've learned from him, and
amazing.
And we still today. Yeah. I mean, even today.
And I really think, and thank you for sharing how you've reached out to people, because those are mentor relationships as far as I'm concerned, and as far as we would look at it. And what was really wonderful about what you shared is how you said you just picked up the phone and asked. You'd be surprised how open people are in the community to meeting with you if you show an interest. And as you say, ask some really good questions and learn their story. And that then they will no doubt open up and be more than willing to help you. So, and by the way that you pull out that file every 6 months, that is a great lesson for people. Bring out the notes and keep reviewing them and cement them in your mind. So thank you for
Yes,
sharing that. That's really
you're
great.
welcome.
Okay, so we're going to end here with one last question, and that is simply, what advice would you give to an early stage entrepreneur?
Well, what a great segue. I would think it would be mentorship. It really would. Um, I wanted to follow up with any opportunity that I get to mentor others, whether it's kids in high school, just even if it's a day speech. Tomorrow we've got 2 kids coming for job shadowing. Any opportunity that we can get to share with our experience with one another, we try to do. So if I would to talk to my younger self again, I would have said, get a mentor, a real I don't want to say a real one, but someone to help guide you. Maybe it is a parent. It certainly would have been my dad had he been alive. But my uncle, who was also my mentor, also passed away right about the same time. So I lost them both. It was pretty tragic. But anyway, being a student, having a mentor is no different than being a student. So if you don't have the mentor, maybe you should do like my brother and I did. We used all of the leaders in our industry. We used them as mentors. We studied them, we questioned them. We go to your trade conventions, read your trade magazines, call the people who are leaders in your industry and have a cup of coffee or a Zoom meeting with them. Join an organization to be of like mind with one another, because the sharing best practices is also a form of mentorship.
Yes.
So quit recreating the wheel. I mean, unless you're Elon Musk doing something that's never been done before, pretty much we're doing stuff that's been done before. So why not share? And here's an Itzoism. I'll give you one. It's really good to learn from your mistakes, but it's better to learn from other people's mistakes.
That's a great Itzoism.
Yes,
I love that. I love that. Great advice for anyone in the beginning stages. And I love that you came back to mentorship. I mean, at the Academy, we find it so important that we actually match the Academy member group with individual mentors, because just as you say, we don't need to recreate the wheel. And certainly hearkening back to the Itzoism, that is so good. Ted, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so grateful for your time. It was such a joy to talk to you. What a guy.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And to all the listeners of the podcast, I'm so grateful that you've taken time to listen to Ted's story. And as always, I wish you much love and gratitude.